Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat Saves and I'm on a mission to help you shop smarter and save money. I am back in my little cozy corner today and we are going to have a little chat about frugal living. And again, I do have a lot of notes written down on my phone. I apologize if it looks like I'm reading and not paying attention. So being frugal basically means being more careful with your money and just being a little bit more conscious of your spending habits. And a frugal lifestyle doesn't necessarily mean you have to go without certain things or give up everything that you enjoy doing, but rather it's about making smart decisions about the way you live, eat, shop and spend money. And as always, please use a little bit of critical thinking when you watch this type of video, because some tips and suggestions will work for other people but they won't work for you and your personal situation, and that is absolutely fine. These videos are just about sharing tips and sharing suggestions, and you can absolutely use your own free will to take it or leave it as you please. So grab a cup of tea with me and let's get into the video. I have got this huge cup of tea. This is like one of my favorite mugs because it is literally giant. Like, this is when you want a cup of tea. If you know what I'm talking about, you like really want a cup of tea. It's this mug. It's this mug or nothing. So I've got 10 really in-depth frugal living tips that I want to share with you in this video. And number one is to make a list, make a budget and stick to it. This is basically the foundation of being financially stable and financially happy. It may sound like a cliche, but it really is imperative. You have to have a budget. A budget really is vital in tracking your spending. It is so important. Basically, so you know exactly where your money is going every single month. So how does that tie in with frugal living? Well, I always think of a budget as a tool that helps you identify areas where you can cut back so you can maximize your savings. For example, if you feel like your clothing allocation has gone way out of control and maybe that is something you need to start cutting back on or start finding alternative places to shop for cheaper options. A budget basically helps you decide what expenses you need to keep and what expenses you can minimize or eliminate so you can live within your means. This tea is actually way too hot. And another really important activity that is very closely related to budgeting is making lists. So you go shopping a few times a week, and within those trips, how many times do you overspend or impulse buy items that were not on your list and that you really didn't need? If you can't curb your impulsive spending behavior, then you are not living frugally. A list basically tells you exactly what to get so you don't end up buying anything else. It is also essential to help you stick to your budget. And this leads us on to point number 2, which is mastering the food shop. So I talk a lot about how to save money on your food shop over on my TikTok and Instagram account because it is literally an expense that everyone has. To live frugally, you really want to be shopping smarter when it comes to food. Some of the ways that you can do this is by batch cooking meals. You basically make 1 or 2 big pots of food a week and then you portion it up to eat every single day. Now, I know a lot of people would think this is incredibly boring, but it can save so much money because you are buying all those ingredients in bulk and you're using all the ingredients that you buy, so there is basically not going to be any food waste either. Meal prepping like this is also so beneficial because you have food ready to go. It takes away that stress of deciding what to eat every single day. It also takes away the impulse you might have for getting a takeaway because you might just sit there and think, actually, I have a whole meal ready to go in my fridge right now. I do not need to be spending money on a takeaway. It's also a really good idea to buy items that are reduced or on offer, and you can base meals around these. We don't go into the reduced section and just buy things willy-nilly. We buy things that we can base meals around, and this is what is actually going to save us money. Honestly, I've got so many tips and suggestions for reducing the cost of your food shop over on my social media. Tip number 3 is to buy secondhand. Frugal people love to buy things secondhand, and I'm not just talking about clothing, I'm talking about furniture, I'm talking about the cars that you drive, because we all know that buying a brand new car is financially not beneficial at all. It is always better to buy something used. Honestly, I have been fully converted to buying all my clothes off Vinted at the moment. I think it's just incredible. There are so many things you can get on Vinted that are brand new with the tag still on, and you're buying them at a heavily discounted price. This way you are literally saving the environment and saving money at the same time, so it is a win-win. Please don't rule out buying things secondhand just because you think it's somebody's old crusty, dusty clothing that they've had in their attic, because honestly that's not the case at all. Chances are you can find things that are very close to brand new and still very good quality. And tip number 4 is to declutter, donate and sell. So this leads straight on from my last point. I'm sure you have loads of things that you don't need or use anymore that you could sell yourself. Really think about having a declutter every few months or so. Put things up on Vinted, eBay, Depop. Facebook Marketplace is a really good one as well. Honestly, this is going to be really good for your mind, for your environment, and obviously you're making a little bit of money, so it's good for your bank account as well. And anything that doesn't sell, you can just donate it to charity. Having a declutter really makes you think about all the stuff you own. Like, do I really need all of this stuff? It really does make me question every item I own and how I could be living a more minimalist lifestyle and still be happy with everything that I've got. Because let's be honest, in this day and age, we just have too much stuff. We do not need it. Good news, the tea is drinkable. The tea is drinkable, okay? So tip number 5 is to learn some DIY skills, and I'm not just talking about painting your walls or, you know, basic things like that. I'm talking about cutting your own hair. I cut my own hair and I've been doing this for literally a couple of years now. As much as I know we need to keep hairdressers in business, they do a great job. Honestly, I get so much hairdresser anxiety. Like, I hate people touching my hair. I hate making small talk. I just find the whole thing so uncomfortable and awkward. So I went and learned how to cut my own hair. I bought some hairdressing scissors and now I just do it myself, and I save so much money doing it. Women's hairdressing prices are quite expensive. So now I literally never ever pay to get my hair cut. It is so worth just learning how to do certain things by yourself at home so you don't have to pay someone to do it for you. Think about learning how to cut your own hair, learn how to tailor your clothes, how to look after your car, how to groom your dog. There are so many services that you don't have to pay for if you learn how to do it yourself. We're moving on to number 6. Get rid of all of those TV subscriptions. I mean all of them. You actually don't need any of them. You can live a perfectly happy and normal life without watching any streaming services. The prices of these are constantly going up. I can guarantee you have more things to do with your life and more things to do with your time than binging TV shows on Netflix. If you really want to be frugal, get rid of all of them. Although an alternative option could be to only have one subscription service going at a time, and then you just cancel it once you've watched the things that you want to watch. All of these services usually do a 30-day free trial anyway, so it might be a good idea to just sign up with a new email address, use the 30-day free trial, take full advantage of it, watch all the things that you want to watch, and then cancel it. Again, I'm not saying we have to give up all the things that we enjoy. Just be a bit more mindful of if we really need to be spending our money on subscriptions that we don't really need or even use that often to warrant the cost. And tip number 7 is to shop savvy. If there are things that you really want to buy, be savvy about it. Use multi-buy deals if it's something that you use regularly. Use cashback sites, get discounts, coupons, freebies. There are so many ways that you do not have to pay full price for things. If you actively try to never buy anything at full price, you can still get the things you want, but you can also save a lot of money. Especially if you try to do this with everything, the savings will add up. Now, one of my favorite cashback sites is called EverUp, and honestly, it is just so easy to use. The percentage of cashback you get is great. You can play games in the app to win more cashback, which is just an extra little bit of fun, to be honest. And I do have a referral link in my bio if you did want to give it a go. Another great cashback app that I actually use regularly is called Airtime Rewards. This one works a little bit differently from other ones because you connect all of your debit cards and all your credit cards to the app, and then every time you spend money on them with any of airtime rewards, you know, partner shops, you instantly get cash back. This will just add up in your account in the background, because honestly you'll probably just forget about it. You'll just be buying things as you normally are buying things. The cashback's just there in your account and it really just adds up. And then this cashback gets taken off your phone bill. I literally pay about £2 for my phone bill regularly every single month, because I'm getting so much cashback's getting taken off of my phone bill, and I'm paying like £2 for my phone bill. So I'm going to put a link for this one in my bio as well, because honestly it's really good. Tip number 8 is to avoid unnecessary fees. Now if you are getting cash out of an ATM and it tries to charge you £2 to withdraw it, then we're going somewhere else. I'm going to get that cash somewhere else. There is literally no need to be paying extra fees like this. It may seem small, but usually it is the little things like that that just add up. And in this category I'm also talking about credit card interest. If you do choose to use credit cards because of the extra buyer's protection or because it helps build your credit score, that is honestly great. I think that's a really good thing, but you need to be paying the card off every single month in full. It is so important. Otherwise you are just going to be paying extra interest for literally nothing. It is literally wasted money. Honestly, just try and avoid it wherever possible. The only exception that I can maybe think of is paying interest on your mortgage, because I don't know anyone who can afford to buy a house outright. Like literally, who can afford that these days? So, you know, if we want to buy property, we have to get a mortgage, and there will always be interest to pay with that. So that's the kind of the only one that I can think of. And maybe student loans as well. Obviously, if you decided to go to uni, you decided to take out a student loan, you're going to be paying interest on that as well. And these are the only two things that I would say are, for the most part, unavoidable interest. Tip number 9 is to know how to keep your utility costs down. An electric blanket is honestly one of the best things that you can buy in winter. You're heating the person, not the house. They are honestly so affordable. You can get some really good ones off Amazon and they just work wonders. They are so cozy, and do you know what? It's literally like mid-July at the minute, but just thinking about it, can't wait for winter so I can get my electric blanket. You're just going to save so much money because you don't need to be turning the heating on, which these days costs an absolute fortune. Along similar lines, a dehumidifier is also a really great purchase. It dries your clothes literally within a day and you don't have to turn the heating on. And it also stops condensation and mold from forming around your windows, which again is something else that can cost you money if you need to fix that. So it's better to avoid the problem rather than fix the problem. You also want to be changing all of your light bulbs to LED bulbs because they use so much less electricity. Turn everything off at the wall if you aren't using it, and have shorter, quicker showers because this uses a lot less water. We are on to tip number 10 already, and that is spend intentionally and mindfully. Do you actually want that thing that you are going to spend your money on? Do you need it? Is it going to improve your life in any way? Is it going to help future you? You really need to be thinking about this every time you want to spend your money. Is it going to help you in the long run? Is it going to improve your life? Or is it just temporary happiness? A really good way to get around this is to give yourself 48 hours before making a purchase just to really think about it. It's really good to just take a step back and think about why you actually want it. This can really just stop you from impulse buying or spending money that you don't need to be spending. A lot of people do actually shop out of boredom or because it just gives them this temporary dopamine hit, but this is such a terrible habit, and if you recognize that this is you, really think about how you can change that habit into something more positive. What could you do in place of shopping for happiness? I really hope that you got some useful information and tips out of this video. Please leave me a comment if you've got any more frugal living tips that you want to share. I love to hear everybody else's tips. Give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more shopping and money saving content.